From the campus of Volunteer State Community College, this is Inside Politics.
Hi, and welcome to Inside Politics. I'm Nancy Hauskins. With the busy holiday travel season ahead of us, one of the last things you want to hear about is questionable airline safety. But it is a hot topic in Washington right now, and Tennessee Congressman Bart Gordon is leading the charge to help keep us safe in the skies. We're honored to have him join us here today.
Thanks, Nancy.
Well, it's not even so much about keeping us safe in the skies right now. What you're fighting is for us to know how safe it is for us to be in the skies. As chairman of the House Science and Technology Committee, I understand you're a little bit at odds with the decision by NASA to withhold the findings of a national survey that they did in part of some airline pilots across the country. Tell us a little bit about what you know of this report and why it's not being released.
Well, it's really astounding in that we have the safest the safest aviation record in the world, and I think part of that is because we have transparency and we know what's going on. We try to deal with it, and NASA, with taxpayer dollars, did over 24,000 interviews with pilots to see their thoughts and views in terms of air safety. If there were more near collisions, more hitting of birds and those sort of things than reported. And it came back, and there were a great deal more. And then some underlings in NASA decided that they should not make that report available because it might look, bad for the aviation industry, and which really is just the reverse. I mean, that transparency allows us to do a better job with safety, right, making people feel more comfortable. So we had an interview where we had a hearing. Quite frankly, demanded the information, and now they are going to be providing that to us, which in turn, when you have 24,000 interviews, I mean, that's just an unprecedented amount. I think there are, lots of things we can find out.
Is there anything in that report that you can think of that we specifically should be aware of or should know as we head into this very busy season? No,
there are instances that were pragmatic, but I think by and large it demonstrates that we do have a very safe system, but it's a system that we want to continue to try to make more safe, and we need this information.
Definitely. A NASA spokesman even said it could materially affect the public confidence in and the commercial welfare of the air carriers. Now, you're saying everything in there is fairly okay, yet this person from NASA made that comment, which, I'm getting on a plane in a couple of days. Yeah. That sounds a little iffy to me.
Well, I mean, it's reverse thinking. It's like the FDA doing trials on different drugs, finding out there's a problem, but then saying, we're not going to release this information because it might frighten you. Well, we want to know that information about the drugs. And it's the same thing. If there are problems here, we need to know that information. And again, we won't until we see it. But when you have 24,000 interviews, the taxpayer deserves to get their money's worth.
What came out of those October 31st hearings? Is it something that you are now going to be getting copies soon, or you have gotten copies of this report?
They have made it available to our committee. It now needs to be made publicly. They have agreed to do that. And so we're going to make them stick to that promise.
NASA refused a Freedom of Information Act request when it came to this specific report. Is that something that you just basically are against, people not following the Freedom of Information Act?
Again, we are a better country when we have transparency with our government, and so I'm very concerned about that.
Definitely. Well, a hot topic here at Volunteer State, of course, is the rising cost of higher education, with neither federal nor state assistance really being able to keep up with the rising increases. The Senate recently overwhelmingly passed the College Cost Reduction and Access Act. Tell our student viewers here how you think that's going to help them.
Well, both the Senate and the House has, and it's the largest help to public education since the GI Bill. What it'll do is a couple of things. One, it will cut in half the rate you're paying on interest on any type of, at least the federal loans. It's going to raise the a Pell Grant to over $5,000 and $2,000 of all state students last year received those Pell Grants. So I think that's going to be very important. It's going to provide also some areas so that if you are tuition assistance for those students that want to go into teaching, particularly into those areas where there are high needs. Right. There'll be some forgiveness of loans for those students that will go into public service, where they might be teachers, nurses, policemen, those sorts of things. So there's going to be a variety of ways to try to help make college more affordable.
Do you know how this is going to be paid for? That's a lot of money we're talking about assisting students with. Do you know how they plan to pay for that? Yes,
and I think it's important that we do pay for it. One of the things that this new Congress did early on was pass a pay-as-you-go budget rules.
Sure.
Because we don't want to be borrowing money that our kids have to pay back with interest later. And so this will be funded by cuts in the reimbursement that some of the bank and lending institutes get in student loans. And there's enough money in there to be able for them to continue to make a profit, but just not as great a profit, and they shouldn't have an automatic profit at on taxpayer dollars. So it will be paid for.
That's always good to hear. Critics fear that the government will begin using its increased financial influence to seize more control over the public institutions. How do you respond to those concerns?
Well, I know there are some that propose that there be reviews of the public institutions' tuition and make some punitive actions there. One thing about public education or higher education generally is it's not a monopoly. There are a number of places to choose from. So I think the government should be involved in making it more affordable, but they should not be involved in trying in content or things of this nature with our schools.
On August 9th, President Bush signed into law the America Competes Act. It's something you spoke about last time you were here with us on Inside Politics. But for those who didn't see that show, this is something you have been very passionate about, getting more teachers and more students more adept in math and science. Tell us about the problem and what this will do to fix it.
Well, I'm excited about this. It really shows that the system can work. A couple of years ago, Lamar Alexander and I asked the national academies to do a study on competitiveness of America in the 21st century. And the report was very, very sobering. And they said that if we don't make some changes, like my daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, and your 4-year-old son can be a part of the first generation of Americans who will inherit a national standard of living less than their parents. So just a reversal of the American dream. And there are a variety of problems here. First of all, you've got to keep in mind that there are 7 billion people in the world. Half of those make less than $2 a day. So we don't want to compete in terms of the wages. So we have to work at a higher, more productive level. If they're going to make 2 widgets in India or China, we've got to be making 30 or 40 or 50 widgets here, so that our workers from high school graduates to PhDs need to have a higher skill level. We need to be able to not only make faster widgets, but we need to be able to invent the widget maker and manufacture it here. And the base to that, to a great extent, is increasing those math and science and engineering skills. And when you look at it, we score very poorly on international scores. And the longer our students are in school, the worse they do. And when we try to peel that back and find out why, we discovered that 68% of the middle school, for example, middle school math teachers have neither a major or a certification to teach math. 93% of the physical science teachers have neither a major or a certification. And so it's hard to inspire, much less teach, when you don't have that core background. And it's not that the teachers aren't, competent, good teachers, they just don't have the background. And